Hello guys and welcome back to Life with Polly. I'm currently laying in the car relaxing with Annabelle here. As you can see here, this is my Chihuahua Dachshund mixed. This is Life with Polly, and if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I moved out of my apartment into my 2007 Saturn Ion until I get enough money to buy a van or a SUV to turn into my tiny home on wheels. Now, I'm currently in the process of saving for that, and it's going to be another 4 or 5 months before I get the total money that I want for that to build my tiny home. So if you're interested in those kinds of videos, you can support the channel by going down below and hitting the subscribe button for totally free. That is how you can support this channel. Now, I won't only be doing videos like that, but I do videos on different topics and talking about my life and other people's life and, all kinds of different videos. So if you're interested in that kind of content, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below, the all notification bell to the right hand side, and you can comment on the video and share the video for totally free. That's how you can support my channel. So today I wanted to make this video about Ruby Franke's sister from 8 Passengers. She did make a statement today, and it was a better statement than her last video. If you're not familiar with Ruby Franke and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt from Connections, was just arrested on charges, and we all know what those charges were. Ruby Franke's son escaped Jody Hildebrandt's house and basically went to a neighbor's house and got the cops involved. And the cops went to Jody Hildebrandt's house and found other kids there that were basically tied up with duct tape, and they were tied up with rope, and they had lacerations on their wrist and their ankles, and they were transported to the hospital. Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke, they were both arrested and held without bail. Their next court date is the 21st to find out if they will have bond or not. Hopefully they do not get a bond, or they get a bond so high they can't bond out. I don't think they should be let out of jail. I think they should stay in there. Now, they are facing up to 1 to 15 years for each count. Does that mean they're going to get 15 years for each count? No, it does not. Of course, if they did, they're facing 90 years total. But anyways, Bonnie Helene is Ruby's sister, and basically the whole family, the whole Franke family, they basically vlog. They're all family vloggers, and they all make their money from vlogging. Bonnie Helene did do a video with a brief statement, and she got a lot of backlash for it, and people blaming her, and people asking why she didn't do anything, and what was wrong with her. Why did she wait 3 years to say anything? And that video had since been deleted, but it's been all over the news. It's been all over the media. However, she did post a longer video today and explained more. Now, some things she still didn't explain too good, but that's because she is limited on what she can say, because the courts do not want people talking about the kids involved or what is going on, really. So I could see that by law she can't really speak on certain things. But she did explain to everybody that Ruby Franke, Bonnie Helene's sister, cut her off a few years ago, and they really haven't had contact. And even the mother, Grandma and Grandpa Griffiths, they got a channel too, Ruby's mother. As far as I know, in the statement that she made today, Ruby even estranged herself from her own mom, and her mom suffered I believe, a stroke from it or a heart attack from it, and was just very upset about it. But basically what happened was Ruby Franke basically just cut off her family, and her family didn't really have contact with her, and her family really didn't have contact with the children. And a lot of people were blaming Bonnie Helene and Ruby Franke's other sisters, Ellie and Jared, Daru Kuru, and their parents, for what happened to these kids and how they didn't know they were being abused, how they didn't know that. And now I could see why they didn't know that, because Ruby Franke, the husband, basically cut off all of Ruby's family. So now I could see where they were coming from, because some things happens in families, and my family has been torn apart because of a lot of people dying. My grandmother died, my mom died, a lot of people dying in my family, and a lot of very important people dying in my family. And because of that, a lot of the family doesn't talk to each other anymore or see each other anymore. So I could see where Bonnie Holeen is coming from, where she says she was cut off of all contact or information about her nieces and nephews, and she didn't really have no control over it. You gotta realize that Bonnie Holeen was not the parent in this case. Ruby Franke was, and her husband. Now, Bonnie Holeen, in her statement today, did say that there is one other person responsible for the kids going through what they did, and that is the father. The father could have done more, Kevin Franke. And in my eyes, yes, he could have done more and should have did more. He should have been on top of it. In my eyes, Kevin Franke or Ruby should never have their children again. Their children should be placed with either family members that are loving, kind, caring, and that will take care of them and treat them right, or they should be placed in a foster home or with an adoptive family that will treat them like human beings, not do the things that Kevin Franke did and Ruby Franke did. They need love. They need care. They need to know that everybody in the world is not bad. And in order to do that, I feel that they should not be placed with the father. If you all have seen the father's lawyer's videos, the lawyer of the father basically says, well, Kevin had no idea what was going on. Okay, he had no idea what was going on, that his kids were tied up and being starved and they had wounds on him this time. But what about the years that he did live with Ruby? Years of abuse was going on in the household, like not bringing lunch to her daughter in school, who apparently forgot her lunch at home at 6 years old. Now, you would think social services would be right on top of that. The teacher in that instance contacted Ruby, and Ruby basically said that she was not going to bring her daughter lunch. It was her daughter's own fault for not bringing her lunch or for getting her lunch. Now, since she was only 6 years old, I think the teacher should have reached out to the Department of Social Services. That should have been considered abuse, and it should have been handled right then and there. And Social Services should have been investigating Ruby Franke and Kevin Franke. So there's a lot of things that the parents were doing behind closed doors, and the sisters like Bonnie Holeen and the other sisters had no clue this was going on. Basically, Ruby estranged herself from everyone. Even Kevin Franke, the father of the children, she basically kicked him out and cut him off, and basically told him that it would be better off if he didn't have contact with his kids for a while, and that she would talk to him and tell him and let him know what was going on, and they would work it out that way. But because he was the father, he should have did more. He should have went to the authorities. He should have just did more to protect his children. And that's just the bottom line. And like I said, for years, this several questionable things went on, even when Kevin Franke was living with Ruby Franke. There was things that they were doing that were not right to the children. So as far as I'm concerned, he should not get custody of the children. I think they should be placed somewhere where they can get the kind, caring love that they deserve, heal from what has happened to them, get help for what has happened to them, and just, because they need to learn that not everybody is bad like that, and not everybody will abuse you. There are people out there that will love them, care about them, um, and take care of them the way they're supposed to do. But I could see where Bonnie Helene is coming from now. When she made that brief statement in her first video, the video that got deleted and was put all over the news, that was kind of a dumb video to make. But now that she's put out a longer video today, basically at the end, she says, "I am not my sister, and I am not my sister's mistakes." And she's right. She did not make the mistake. Her sister made the mistake. Her sister is the one that deserves to be in prison. Her sister is the one that deserves all the hate. Her and her husband, Kevin, they are the ones that deserve to go through the hate and that deserve to go to prison. If they decide to send Ruby to prison for 30 years, good. I hope she gets at least 30 years. She should definitely get time, and she should definitely not be let out on bond, her or Jody Hildebrandt. Even though now that Ruby Franke has got a medical condition, and I believe that the medical condition is being faked, because she don't want to be in regular population. If you've seen the mugshot of Ruby Franke, she looks disgusting and terrible. She looks like she's from, I don't know, she looks like she's from selling on the streets, basically. Let's say that. And Jody Hildebrandt, she also has just made a statement, or someone made a statement about Jody Hildebrandt having a dire medical emergency. And I think they're both doing that just to get people to feel sorry for them. And the other thing I want to say too is about the kids. They said that the kids did some terrible things to another child and their family and to cousins and things like that. We all know what was said about that. And that one of the kids started looking at the word P at 3 years old. Now, I find that kind of impossible when Ruby and Kevin Franke didn't even really give their kids electronics. Their kids didn't even have cell phones. So how was he looking at P at 3 years old? And if you have a 3-year-old, how is your 3-year-old going to be looking at P if you are actually taking care of your 3-year-old, watching your 3-year-old, and making sure they do what they're supposed to do? How does a 3-year-old watch that all the time if you are being a parent? Apparently, they weren't watching this kid. Apparently, they weren't being the parents that they should have been and weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. That's why I'm saying this went on for years. And now, finally, somebody is doing something about it. And if one of the children did do something to another child in the family, or friends and neighbors or cousins, then that should have been turned into the authorities, and the child should have been taken for help, and they should have been helped in another way other than tying them up and starving them. So to me, Ruby is making up this story. We'll have to see how the story evolves and what goes on with the story from now on. But as far as I'm concerned, Ruby is making the story up to make her look better and to maybe get the charges reduced a little bit or a little bit less time. And to me, if that's the case, she is a sick person. Either way, she's a sick person. She deserves to be in prison. She deserves to be locked up just like she locked up her kids. She does not deserve to be out on the streets. She does not deserve freedom. She didn't give her children freedom. She locked them up. Even before she tied them up and locked them up in a room or whatever at Jody Hildebrandt's house, she still controlled her children to the aspect of abuse through the years, even on her 8 Passengers channel. So, I just wanted to say I agree with Bonnie, and I'm glad she made a longer video and a greater statement this time and explain more of it. Because, like I said, I could see about being estranged from your family. I don't have any contact with my brothers at all. I don't talk to them, I don't see them. So, if they got something going on in their life, if they're doing something bad in their life, dealing drugs or killing someone, or I don't know what they're doing, because I have no contact with them. Even though they're my brothers, I have no contact with them. I don't talk to them, and I don't know what's going on. So if they're doing something bad, that is, they're doing it, they're making a mistake, and I have nothing to do with it. So I could see where Bonnie's coming from. She was estranged by Ruby Franke, and the rest of her sisters was also estranged by Ruby Franke. And sometimes that happens with families. Families don't stay in contact with each other or see each other for certain different reasons. So keep that in mind when you're going to Bonnie Holine's channel and watching her channel and her sister's channel and things like that. To the people that think that Bonnie Holine might be the same as Ruby Franke, and the other sisters might be the same as Ruby Franke, I watched Bonnie Holine for years, and I haven't really seen anything as bad as Ruby Franke videos. The 8 Passengers, I really haven't seen nothing bad like that on her channel. And I mean, a lot of people say she exploits her children for money and things like that, and I could kind of see that. A lot of people are going after family channels now for using their children for money. And yes, there is a lot of channels that out there that use their kids for money. If they didn't have kids on the channel, they wouldn't have that YouTube money. They wouldn't have that necessity. They wouldn't have that. They wouldn't be making that kind of money if it wasn't for their kids. So I could see where some people are coming to say that parents are using their children, because there is a lot of parents on YouTube that are using their children. Now, parents that do not exploit their children, and what I mean by exploit their children is like putting clips or putting thumbnails with kids in bathing suits and things like that. Those things to me are wrong, and they're using their kids for money, and they're exploiting their children. But there are some channels out there like the Crosby family. The Crosby family is a good vlogging family. Most of the time, his daughters are singing or doing something, and to me, his channel is a family channel, and he does not exploit his daughters. His daughters love to sing. Excuse me. His daughters love to sing and do that kind of stuff, and he films it, and it's a great family channel. Another family channel is the Deddy Sisters. The Deddy Sisters, they do vlogs once in a great while, but not very often. And they, again, do not exploit their their children. They do not put their children in bathing suits. They do not put their children in tank tops so they're showing their bellies in the thumbnails and things like that. They do not do that. They are a family that sings a lot of godly songs, and her daughters sing a lot of godly songs. It's a very good, very nice, clean family channel. Now, those channels are good. I agree with those channels. The ones that are exploiting their children, using their children for money, these moms and dads quitting their jobs because now they got money because their children are making money on YouTube, I think that's just wrong. And I think they're using their children, and they do need to be stopped. YouTube needs to stop these people that are doing that. It's not only wrong, but it's disgusting. So anyways, I made this long enough. Go over and watch Bonnie Holine's video, Ruby Franke's sister, and you will see what I'm talking about. And this time, it seems like it's a pretty good video. We'll see if it stays up. I know I read a lot of her comments on the new video, and she's getting a lot of praise, and now people understand why her and her husband Joel couldn't do more, or didn't do more, because they really didn't know, because they were cut off from Ruby and Kevin. Thank you.